Okay, let's start with the chapter. Let's look at some of the basic terms that we will be using in and out. First is your thermodynamic system. So we already have seen system in work, power and energy and all of that, right? So here too, the idea continues. So a quantity of matter or a region in space where we choose to study, separate everything from everything else by a boundary. That makes up a system. Or assembly of a very large number of particles having specific values of pressure, volume and temperature is another definition. Till now we have been defining it as, let me not show you guys that. So till now we have been defining it as, you have a boundary. Anything within this is your system. And anything outside that is your surrounding, basically, right? Now we are going one step ahead. We are telling it's a collection of particles, same thing actually, having specific values of pressure, volume and temperature. Now we are talking about, okay, you know what? We're also detailing the system. Now it has this pressure, it has this volume, it has this temperature. That's it, right? The idea does not change. Surrounding is everything else outside the system. Still the idea does not change. But here we're talking about mass in, mass out, energy in, energy out. So that variation we are keeping. Okay, so these are a tiny bit of variation that we're looking at, right? Next, so I spoke about this closed system, open system and isolated system. So the picture is pretty good enough for us to understand. Open system is wherein energy can go into the system, the surrounding can interact with the system, right, through in the form of energy, and also mass can come in and go out. That's your open system. Next, closed system. Closed system, the mass is fixed. So you can see that I'm putting how do I put it across? A nozzle kind of thing. Yeah, I'm basically soldering it off, closing the mouth. So materials can't come in or go out, but we are able to interact with the system through heat, energy. So energy can go in and come out. In isolated system, nothing happens. That's why it's called as isolated. Okay, sorry, I kind of got distracted. There was someone at the door. Yeah. So we are talking about types of system. So we're starting off with open system. Open system is open to everything. Closed system, it is closed to material interaction. Energy can come in and go out though. Isolated system is wherein no energy can come in, no heat can come in, so on and so forth. So practical example is, if you have a cup, right, with hot water. So, you have steam, so we have material going out, and also heat will dissipate, right? In many forms, heat will also move. If you have the same cup, so if I take up the same cup, but additionally what I do is, I close the lid. My wife keep asking me to do this. That is not to keep things open. So if I do that, yeah, I am doing that, by the way. I have to. That's the right thing to do as well. Safer, right? Now what happens? Now the steam will not, the water droplets will be over there and eventually they'll drop, but this can still give out heat. And finally, the third scenario is, if you take up a very good, and actually this is not very practical, but at least for a minute or two, if I keep the same water in a, what is this? Flask, right? So it will keep it hot and stuff. So material is also not going out. Heat is also not going out or coming in and going in, whatever you want to chat, right? So there is one video. Actually, there is a car that got burnt, but there was this thermal flask, that didn't get burnt, and at the same time, inside that there was cold water, and that water was still cold. I mean, that was like a jackpot for the company. And I think they gave a car back also. It's a very interesting, it's not this actually, normal car. So it's a pretty nice story actually. You guys can search that. So there is a car, right? Inside that there was a flask. I don't know how the car got, how the fire started. No one got hurt, so that is there. But the car, it burnt and all that. And the end of it, there was a not Tupperware, sorry. This is your flask. Flask was there. They happened to open it, and the water, it was still cold or something. It was, that was a weird part. At least not cold, maybe even room temperature. Even that is a very big deal, right? So that happened. And the company used that for their advertising, and they gave back and they gifted them the car as well. So nice story. You guys can search that. I don't know the exact phrasing what to search, but you guys will be able to find. So that's a good example of closed system. Okay. Isolated system. That story, right? So let's look at the definitions that I put across. Closed system, controlled mass is fixed, no mass enters or leaves, right? Over here. That's why I put a lid over here. Heat, work, energy may cross the boundary, volume may or may not change. Open system, mass can enter or leave the system. Heat, work, energy may cross the volume. Some might have, like some of my students, they come and ask me, sir, end of it, volume may change. How is that possible? Right? If this is just water, it becomes steam, volume increases, right? So that's possible. Mass does not change over here. But steam can be formed. Do you guys agree? So that's what we're talking about. And isolated is, isolated. Special system in which no energy crosses the boundary, no heat transfers. An adiabatic nozzle or adiabatic. So what is this adiabatic that we'll be studying? For now, you guys can just write this off. Yeah, from here, you need to have a solid idea. Remember, these are all three-dimensional space. So the dots supposed to be three-dimensional.